of our industry, of people like Eric, people like Benny, people like the writers. Without each other, we wouldn't have an industry. I can't wait to hear Charlie Parker unreleased, please. I'm lucky. I think I'm so lucky that I knew all of these people, that I knew this man. I could call him. So, when did so-and-so and so-and-so release this song? Well, hold on a second. Let's see. Abby Lincoln, your dad discovered her, renamed her. Terrible name. She recorded that in Europe because she was falling on her ass here. And he was right. He understood this industry like nobody else I understood. I think we are all blessed to have known him. And I'm so happy to be here. This is a blessing.
Hi, this is one of my best friends here. I'm Bruce, Angel's son, and I was the guy up in the vault, up in those storage places, pulling tapes out, and then Eric had thrown me into the Arcanum collection, and I edited like 6 album set, and I didn't know the titles of the song. I was a kid, you know, and like everybody said, you know, if you didn't know the title, go ask Eric. You know, I'm really sad that this happened the way it did, but this is about celebrating life, you know, and you know, I had a wonderful life with working with Eric. You know, I mean, I had Sweets Edison, a few Joe Pass records, live at the Westwood Playhouse when we recorded the 2-inch tape. And, Joe Pass was on that. Oscar Peterson was playing on that record. You know, it was a great opportunity for me, and I learned a lot from that. You know, my heart's pounding because I mean I loved your father. I mean, if you wanted to feel safe when you're doing a record, and you could hang out with Eric, you know, and you know, I had the privilege of like doing the last couple of Sweets Edison records before Sweets passed, you know, and you know, and because of Eric, this guy and I are a lot closer. You know? Sorry that the recording business has done what it's done, you know. Ugh. I love hard drives, you know.
It's horrible.
I know all about A to D conversion, and you know, it's kind of a bummer, man, you know. And you know, but you know, I remember, you know, he would just hand you stuff, like, you know, where'd you get this? And I remember, like, there was a Ray Charles and I think Oscar, right? Tape in the vault. I was like, I couldn't believe it, you know. And, but I'm gonna close with this. It's just this picture he had, man. Miles and Dizzy kissing each other on the lips. You know? That picture, man. That's a great picture, man. And you know, he said no. You know,
it's Charles Mingus. It's Mingus.
Is it Mingus? Okay, yeah.
And Conrad has it.
I want a copy of that picture. So I love you all, whether you like it or not. Thanks for showing.
I don't want to stand up, but Angel is my father, Bruce is my brother. I am the youngest, and I remember Eric, I used to roll down the hill from the ramp from the film room where they would shoot the film into the big studio, and I would sit and be amazed, and Eric would always explain to me why they would do things. I didn't understand what he was saying. I was just a little kid, but it was still fascinating to me. And I think my first trip to New York with my dad, I was terrified. And Eric was like, oh, no, sweetheart, it's going to be okay. He told my dad, Angel, I think she needs something special like a good luck charm. took me into Tiffany's, and like everybody says, he just pops up with these things. Got me this beautiful little necklace, you know, dainty, small, but beautiful. We had to go to some fancy restaurant. What restaurant was that, Dad? I don't even know. Rainbow Room. I'm freaked out. I'm like 10 or 11 years old. I'm seeing snails come out. I didn't know what it was then. I'm looking at my dad and Eric like, am I going to eat that? And Eric, somehow the chef comes out all of a sudden, like he disappears, and Eric tells him to make me something special. And they did, and it was the best meal I ever had in my life because I was a very picky eater, and he just was always a part of our family. You know, that was like Uncle Eric, and he's going to be missed.
Really quickly, on your comment about the snails, I remember one evening when Eric introduced me to my first experience with escargot. Okay? But I first met Eric when I was working at Kennan Reporters, late 70s. I was in charge of taking all the Pablo tapes and cutting them up for a track reproduction. And he wandered in one day, and I was like, oh, that's so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Every tape I put on, he knew everybody that was playing on it just by hearing them play. And to cut to the chase, I just wanted to come out and speak. One of my fondest memories of him was one night, Tim Duncan, the owner of Kennan Reporters, had an after-hours gathering in his office, and he had just had his hair cut. And the woman who cut his hair was still there, and the woman asked Eric to come by. You know, sit down in front of him. She put her hand, and she kind of ran her fingers through his hair and like slapped him on the head with the scissors and said, "Stop cutting your own hair." And I just figured that was appropriate because of her remarks.
I gotta say this about this is really interesting. I had the honor of playing on the Porgy and Bess album with Ray Charles and Cleo Lane, and with Norman and Eric put all the musicians together. Well, they called me, and then they uncalled me about 5 minutes later. We got another drummer, and Eric was on his way over to my place to get a haircut. So I called him. And when he came, I said, "Hey man," I said, "you gave me what, 6 or 7 days? That's more money I've made all year." And now all of a sudden he said, "Well, let me call a contractor." So he called him and said, "Hey man, what's with the drummer?" He said, "Well, I got such a person." He said, "Well, no, Washington Rucker was on it." He said, "Well, Washington's not available. You know, you hear that a lot in this industry." He said, "Well, you know, I'm sitting across the table having barbecue, and I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to tell him. Otherwise, I'll call Rio de Janeiro where Norman is. Norman can straighten it out. The phone call came straight away." So we get on the date, and Cleo Lane is there. She had never, I don't think she had ever sang with any black singers before. So James Cleveland and his group came in. And if you know Porgy and Bess, you know it ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. Well, Cleo, being British, said it isn't necessary. So I signaled to Eric because nobody would say anything. And Norman wasn't there. So he said, "Hey, Cleo, baby, hey, that's Hank, baby." So she squared up, and the record day was a success.
This is what's missing today.
Jam session.
Oh,
Yeah.
Everybody got a little bit.
Without these stories, this is our history.
Yeah.
This is our oh hell, what they call it online. We talk to each other, person to person.
Well, actually, I'm going to take us out of the industry. I'm Michael Goodman. My father is David Goodman, his cousin. And they shared the same birthday. And so growing up, Cousin Eric was actually Uncle Eric to me. And I met him as a little kid, growing up, and I think the common theme is is that he lived life and exuded this larger-than-life presence and connected with people in a way that was both grounding and uplifting. And I've got some great stories he told, and I don't know if one of them's already been told here, but one of my favorites was how he got out of serving in the Army.
No, we haven't heard.
Now, I think that this would be appropriate in that it'll kind of touch on a lot of his other stories, but he went in for the draft registry board. He goes in there, and he had his shades on. And so they say, okay, get down to your underwear, and he left his shades on. Really? Okay. So he proceeds to, I'm not telling the story nearly as well as Uncle Eric would have, because he gets to the T. But you could just tell, he's like, yeah, I was messing with them. And I have these doctors come up and ask me questions. Take off the glasses. No, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he'd go on to the next doctor. And apparently it took 2 or 3 hours of him going through review. And they finally said, no. and it just what, I don't know how else to, that's just one of the stories. But I think that's probably my favorite because I'm just like sticking it back to the man. Because he knew that he wasn't going to play their game, and they figured out that he wasn't for them. But yeah, I mean, larger than life, and very much missed. And just,
Okay, I'm going to try and get through this. I was Eric's sweetheart for like 8 years. Yeah. And at that time, he was living in Berkeley, although we met in LA through Ruth Price. If all of you know the Jazz Bakery, and he was very close with Ruth, was at her wedding, this and that, and we met, and we started this romance. So he'd come down every couple of weeks via Southwest to Laguna Beach, where I lived, and Southwest didn't fly into Orange County yet, so I'd pick him up in Burbank. My family owned a music store for 60 years, and they were in Alhambra. So I would close the store and race to Burbank, pick him up on Saturday night, and he'd stay for 3 days, and we'd open the store on Tuesday. I'd drive him back to the airport, and we'd say goodbye. So we were together for 8 years. We're probably only 4 because of the lifestyle that we had. But I mean, everybody has just shared. There wasn't, you know, we're talking about his memory and this and that. He was into 45s. But he could tell you the flip side of a 45. So he was like, his sister Susan had the record player or this and that, and he would take her records, and he knew the other side of the 45s, if any of you even know what that is. And I'm just giving Angel a hug because I was just so lucky to be at Group 4 when Eric was recording everybody under the sun, and very, very close with Joe Pass. And Joe wasn't the easiest musician to be around, so you never knew what Joe was going to do, and we would be here, and poor Eric would be so nervous that I think he'd like, you know, have to take a few things just to relax. That's what it was. It was he was nervous. Joe was gonna, you know, but we ended up in like, oh my gosh, it was like San Francisco. We went down to San Diego one weekend to do a whole, he had a hotel, I think it was called Hilario's at that time, and he had a week at Hilario's. And so, I'm not sure if you were doing that recording, but he was, got us a room, and we got this call from Joe in our room, and I'm like, he'd like to invite us to dinner. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have dinner with Joe Pass. I was like, oh my God. This was like, so we get down the next day, and we go to his room, and there's John Pisano, who's making pasta, and he brought all his hands. He cooked an entire Italian dinner. There's like 25 people there. It wasn't that beautiful, intimate little, thing I thought it was going to be. So I said, okay, fine, that's wonderful. But I was so lucky to be in some very, very private, wonderful things that Angel produced, and from Group 4. They did a wonderful guitar series with Dori Caymmi and Ron Afif, and every week we just go into the studio and listen to all these great guitar players, and Angel would be there. And then what happened is the beautiful song "Here's to Life," if you know, from Artie Butler, he was going to finally get this recorded by Shirley Horn. And so there was a 50-piece orchestra directed by Alan Broadbent, and Artie Butler was there, and Angel got me into the studio, and Eric, of course, made all the calls and got me there, and I was just in my glory, Johnny Mandel, and so we just have experienced so many things, and it was a little difficult. And I'm sorry to say, we parted, but it was just like everyone has said. Every family gathering, Christmas, whatever, he'd have CD packages for my sister, my niece, my this. He loved tuna. He loved tuna. My little niece became the tuna girl. He would send little, he liked the tuna girl. Every package was in the tuna girl. Today, my brother just recently eloped, and he's 73. And so we had a little Sunday brunch earlier, and I saw my nephew who's 33, and I go, I'm going to a little memorial for Eric, and he goes, of course, the tuna man. That was the first thing I was. And just one other quick story. It was just he was doing some reissues at the end of kind of his fantasy time up north. Finally, they opened, by the way, a flight to Orange County, so I could just come home and just pick him up in Orange County and go to Laguna Beach instead of having to go to Burbank and all that, which made it very, very nice. But he was doing this reissue of Ella, and of course, who wouldn't love Ella? Ella. But he said, if I hear another scatting of Ella, I am going to shoot myself. And he went to his little art director, and he goes, I just can't stand it any longer. So he put this little note on Eric's office and said, please, no scatting, thank you. And we thought it was the best thing. So then our music store, I made this t-shirt. Because only those who know about scatting.
I still have one.
Yes.
I still have one.
Know about if there's a bad scatter in town. And I had them. Oh, I couldn't remember with the umbrellas, right? Okay. And so I remember Kurt Elling, you kind of know, he's getting bigger and bigger. He was at our music store because I was doing jazz for 6 years in our store, and he looked over at the sign. I didn't have the t-shirt out, and he looked at the sign and please no scatting. He said, not today. At any rate, thank you all for being here.